Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome everybody. Thanks for stopping by. We're going to start here in a little bit. Just wanted to welcome everybody. Good to see a bunch of you hopping on today. Welcome. We're excited to get this series started off for Agility Desktop. I'm excited to kind of get this one rolling. This will be a new series for us, so thanks for joining. We'll get started here in another minute or two. People are still jumping in. All right, got some partners joining in and some customers and some prospects. So a good mix of people joining us today. Again, we're going to focus today on the Agility Desktop, and this is going to be the start of a series of webinars focused on the non-scanning applications of WiSys. So, we can see other things than actual WMS that WiSys can do to help you out. So I'm excited to get started shortly. And we'll give it about another 30 seconds to start the webinar. Got some old favorites joining us too, which is great. Some longtime partners and new partners as well. And some freshly new customers. Hopefully they'll see something today that'll spark some interest and allow you to take another step within WiSys and some of the other things we do other than simply scanning. So we'll give it another 10 seconds or so. We'll get started. All right, a couple more people coming in here. Great to see. Nice attendees. All right, well, let's get started. My name is Aaron Armandaris. I'm the sales director here at WiSys, and I am going to be presenting today's webinar on Agility Desktop for WiSys. And I know this is focused on SAP, but this works through our wide suite of ERPs that we work with. So you can take this as you will. But we are going to focus today mostly on SAP Business One and the Agility Desktop solution. Now, the Agility Desktop, we're going to actually start this as a series, and this is really the introduction for those of you that have not experienced Agility Desktop or have some limited knowledge in what it can actually do for you. Just like our other products, this is built on a design tool set, and we'll talk through some of those processes of tailoring and being able to make your own grids in that. So let's get started here. And on the agenda today is we're actually going to do an overview of the Agility Desktop. So we'll take you through each component. We'll look at some of the components that are pre-built already. We'll talk about licensing. As you know, this is not WMS or a scanning license, right? This is going to be for somebody that uses a desktop computer that wants to gain more analytical, more data, better decision making with that, with that product. So we'll talk about licensing requirements a little bit. And then we will go through a full demo of the out-of-the-box and then process grids, so view grids, as well as process grids where you can do things in. And obviously at the end, we'll do some Q&A. Just a quick start for those of you that are new, that have not worked with WiSys in the past. We have been around for 20 years helping people in the warehouse, and not only with scanning and WMS, But with the Agility desktop that we're going to show today is a great game changer for a lot of companies wanting to get better visibility and deeper looks into inventory, right? And we help all different companies, all different types of companies and industries achieve that visibility and get that velocity they're looking for using the Agility desktop. So, we help all different industries. We don't focus on one vertical. We can help pretty much any company be better with the tools that WiSys has to offer. Key, just like our WMS, our Agility desktop is integrated directly into SAP. So the data that we're seeing here today is live, real data through SAP, through Agility desktop, and it's a certified product as well. So we will be able to, understand that this is one point of truth, believable data that we can organize on the WiSys Agility desktop. The desktop, as you know, is also where we manage, or you may not know, is where we manage our parameters, our settings, users, roles. This is the actual administration of WiSys. So with any purchase of WiSys, whether it's WMS or just the Agility desktop, you actually need one of these licenses to administer the product. And that'll give you the opportunity, maybe as the IT director or the lead on this project, to be able to utilize those grids and desktop solutions for you, with that one device. So I do have many customers that start off just buying the Agility desktop solution, right? So this is a great part where you can get sales, purchasing, production, all these different views and workspaces that we're going to show you today. And we don't need to stress it here, but we'll show you that through the process. But a key component to this is obviously a lot of people that need batch and serial traceability. So we'll go dive a little bit into some of the grids for traceability. Again, like I said, these are all customizable. We'll take a look at the design studio that allows you to modify and change the product, but any reporting that you have necessary can be realized through Agility Desktop, just with some tailoring and customizations of the grids here. Again, you don't need to have WMS to utilize this product. So if you think of, as a partners, if you think of some of the teams that you need, obviously greater visibility, more detailed, faster, without taking the steps through SAP Business One, you can use this desktop without actually having WMS. This is a great tool for a lot of team members, sales team, customer service, procurement, even obviously the warehouse team will have great visibility into making better business decisions. So like I said before, not only does this run on the desktop of your client, so you can have it installed in your local Windows machine. You can use this in your cloud environment on a remote desktop as well. This will also run in, if you are a SAP B1 user, you can also have it run into the menu structure of SAP Business One. So in your menu of your SAP, there will be Agility icons and grids for you to select through there as well. So you can be a user as well. And this user does not need to have access to SAP PB1, professional users or logistics. They would just need an indirect user. And obviously, if you want to be able to use some of our click-throughs, you will need to have access to SAP Business One to get those. But we'll show that here in the demonstration. All right, let's turn off my camera and we'll focus a little bit on the solution here. And we'll open up our desktop. So let me just minimize this here. As you can see, I have the solution open and I have SAP Business One open already as well. Well, this is a client localized installation of the product, and we have several things that actually get installed with the Agility Explorer desktop application. You will get the Form Studio, which is the product that modifies the forms on the handheld device. You will get the label design software as part of the Agility desktop application. This is where we can create, modify, and build label systems that are integrated into SAP directly into your solution right on the desktop. But we're going to utilize the Agility Explorer, which is the desktop application that is going to obviously show us what we're talking about today. And I've opened that Agility Explorer desktop application. And as you can see on the right-hand side, as you open it, you have the menu structure based on SAP Business One, where you have purchasing, sales, business partners, inventory, and production. We're going to go through a few of these, and we're going to show you some of the highlighted features that we have. But I want to show you where we are talking about administration. So if you hit the File button here in the desktop application, you can see where we set up printers and printing reports and specific things from our document management that allow us to set localized printers. And they have to be IP-based printers, but you no longer have to set a printer up in the cloud and manage that from your partner. These are all local IP printers that will be on the network, and they can be assigned to different applications within here, right? All of our settings for the application, whoops, sorry about that, are all set here under options. So as we do things like WMS, packing and shipping, agility shipping products, which we will obviously go over in future webinars, we also have the availability to assign roles and users. And this desktop application can be assigned a role to a specific user group, a specific person, and we can give access using this solution directly here in our roles in WiSys. So a WiSys person would be set up with an indirect user, or even a professional or logistics user as well can utilize this application. Well, that's where the settings in WiSys happen. So you will need one of these to utilize WiSys, because this is where you'll set all your settings up and your users and everything like that for the WMS application. But today, we really want to focus on the grid solution that we have. And again, like I said, you see our WiSys menu here, and we can open each menu up and see the different default out-of-the-box applications that we deliver, right? You can see things in purchasing and sales. And as I open some of these, they will pop up here to the right. And I can have multiple grids open, as we call them grids. They are a live view based on an Excel-style formatting of columns and rows to expose information directly in SAP of the items that affect each grid here. So in this case, I have starting at purchase orders. So really easy. This is just a very simple view grid for all of my purchase orders in the system. And this is a live view. When I opened it, it pulls up all the information from SAP and pulls the information that I need as a company into that view. Now you see here, I have all these different lines of orders, and this starts at the beginning. I can sort, I can rearrange, right? I can move columns around. I can position them. So if I wanted to say the status I want to move over, I can organize my layouts based on my personal preference. Right? So if I have preferences of doing things my way, they can be set up differently by user as well. You see I have a whole bunch of orders here, and I can filter by selecting or typing in the field an open order. So I could see all the open orders that are in my main grid here. And I can adjust this sizing here so I can see more and open up more. I can even go into my little filter icon here and filter on specific actions in here. So I can select, in this case, the status has open or closed. If I click on vendor, I can click on a specific vendor. I even have the availability to group by a item, right? So if I want to group by my vendors, I can just drag and drop this vendor up into the above. And now it shows me all my vendors based on vendor name. And I can hit the caret and drop that down and see all the orders associated with that vendor. So I have really good flexibility to get information, again, without going into SAP. I can see all the information in SAP, and I can sort and filter and do actions here, right? So I do want to take a look at here as an example, open POs, and I do want to look at a specific vendor. So I'm typing this in, or I could, sort by a vendor, but I'm looking at all my open items from a vendor. If you notice that I've highlighted that field, and it'll highlight that row with a blue focus field, now I can see everything on that purchase order right here in the child graph. Now very easily, I can export information to Excel. I can do the main grid at the top or the detailed grid below. So if I have multiple things on multiple items, I can sort and filter that and see that here. So on this purchase order, I can see that I have 500 remaining, and I have an open quantity of 500 Tylenol, right? I do have the availability to move, scale, open up fields here. I can see estimated pricing, right? I can see my total of that and how many are open on the inventory count right here, right? This is just an out-of-the-box solution. I can even go to a column chooser here and add different customizations that I want to see and add it to this grid. So if I want to see an inventory status, maybe it's on hold, or a quantity to ship, or even a price, I can drag and drop that into here. So some people may want to see their, their cost of goods. They can input that information in this grid. I can also do that up here as well. And I can add different things that are important to me based on that purchase order. If they are important to you, they can be put on this grid using a customization, a column chooser there. Right, so in this case, we're just looking at purchase orders, right? Very nice, very easy, but I can sort and filter this, and I actually have due dates here. Now, I'll show you this shortly, but I've created an alert for anything that is past due. So you see here on the first order that I have, the most recent purchase order, its due date would be this Monday, the 31st, and that does not give me a red alert. But I have set a due date alert, anything that's past due, to be highlighted in red. And this can be used using our design tools, and I'll show you that shortly. But I wanted to show you that I can create alerts for important information to highlight it or to stress it to me that that's important. Now, again, I can actually select this filter, and I can look at a specific period in time, later this week. Now, I only have one order that is the due date is later this week. I can really scope into that and drill down into that information and look at next week. Right, so I've selected some filters. I've filtered out by name, by status, and I have that information here. And I can see everything that's on that purchase order and what's open, what's available, and where it's going to, what warehouse, what location. The really cool thing with this application is if you are a SAP B1 user, I can actually click on the order number here, see the hyperlink that's available. If I were to click on that order, it's actually going to take me directly to that purchase order in SAP Business One. So if I do need to make modifications or changes, or I do need access to SAP, I have that availability. Let's take a look at, so what we just looked at here was a view grid, where I can view information, I can drill into it deeper, but I actually want to do some work within SAP directly from this grid, right? So if I click on this tab saying purchase order, now I can actually relate an action to this grid to SAP. I could actually create a new purchase order for this product by clicking the new purchase order, and I could enter that purchase order directly from this application. So it's a direct link from WiSys, from the Agility desktop, to the new purchase order or purchase request or purchase return. Let's take a look at some other grids that we want to take a look at. I have a grid that's based on sales order batch management. And really what I want to do here is I want to create pick lists based on my open sales orders. And again, I have all my open sales orders here, and I can filter very easily to a customer, right? I can filter to a due date this week, today. I could do later this week or next week. And I do have some orders that need to be fulfilled, right? And I can see those orders, and I can see if they've been released, the pick list, and I can look at these orders, and I can even drill into those item codes. But I do have open available quantity. I do not have anything picked, so I can make good decisions based on the data that it's showing me here. Well, in a process grid, this will allow us to do actions. So I have 2 orders that need to go out this week. And maybe that's today, maybe that's tomorrow, right? And I can actually click on my sales order management tab here, and I can click on a radio button. And I could create a multi-order. So very easily, I can create the pick list in SAP on one multiple sales order pick list by clicking the action there. And that will create the pick list for me. I already had some items that were to be picked, but I can create the pick list directly from WiSys. We could do a single order pick list as well. So I can really do some action without being in SAP directly from WiSys. So if I wanted to do that based on item, I could do that based on item. If I wanted to do it by due date, which I just did, I could select orders and create pick lists. Now, you can organize your data the way you want, and I know every company does that differently, but we have the availability to get this data without being in SAP, without clicking around, 20, 30 clicks. I'm going to show all here again, and I can see all the orders, and I can, again, sort and filter those by customer, and these are all the open sales orders that I have, right? So I'm going to filter all open sales orders, and I could pick a range. I could pick a document number. I could select all of them, and I could add the items on a pick list that are ready to be delivered today, whether it's one order or multiple orders here. That's just one way of looking at sales order management. Imagine you being in the sales team, wanting to see by your open sales orders by the employee, right? So I could actually take a look here, and I could see all my orders for my customers, right? Or my customers based on the salesperson. And I could see all those orders that are open here and get visibility into if things have been picked, if there's available quantity on hand, what's been committed to orders, and how many are on orders. So again, all in one place viewing the data. So I don't have to utilize SAP, and maybe I don't need an SAP license to do all of this. Let's take a look at some inventory, because I know we're all here for WMS, but we all have inventory needs here. We have an application, and these are all the out-of-the-box solutions, and we have an application called Inventory Workspace. Now, this is going to give me a global view of all my inventory in SAP Business One. So all of my items, based on the item master in SAP, are going to be here right directly into the grid. Again, filtering is great. Sorting is available as well. I can sort by my batch tracked products, right? I can then drill into the item master directly from here, right? I can see what's in my default warehouse. And if I had an item group or unit and measure group that I had, I can really filter down to those items there, right? So in this case, I filtered all my batch tracked items in SAP. And again, I can click on one of these and look at it. And if I highlight a row, I can actually see my chocolate here, and I can see the location of all the product that's in my warehouses, right? Multiple warehouses, multiple locations. How many are committed to orders? How many do we have open POs for? I can see all that information in a child graph here. Now, what I do want to show you is some of the workspaces that we can do in here, right? We can do and take action here, but here's some more detailed information. If I highlight and check on chocolate, I can see the open purchase orders that would have chocolate on them. So here, when I have an item, I can go deeper into that item, see the open POs. And I can see, hey, there's some items that are due currently, but I have a lot more past due. Again, I can filter and sort and look at all of these based on maybe a specific ship date or a group of ship dates and see where these products are making good business decisions, right? So this opens up another grid when I select that. Now, if I take a look at some other items, I can actually see if I have any open sales orders. So this item has open sales orders, and I can drill into that. And these are way past due. Obviously, I did not fulfill these, but we can drill into that directly from the grid and open up that sales order and see where we're at with that, right? So again, less clicks, more efficiency, but believable data that's within SAP Business One realized on a desktop. So we've looked at some sales order there. I do want to get into some batch traceability because this is a big part of what a lot of customers do, as well as serialized inventory. But let's take a look at a batch availability with bins. In this case, I have the availability to see all my batches of all my products that live within SAP Business One. And let's just take that example of chocolate. I want to filter chocolate as my main item that I need to find out batches. Now I could see all the batches that are within SAP Business One. This is all the chocolate that I've purchased or created and all the batches that are associated with that. But I really want to focus on a bin level. So I want to see everything that's at my dock. What's sitting at my dock? What batches are there? What items are there? Right? Here's the end date. If I had a manufacturer expiration date or any information, again, that I want to see from SAP, I could bring that in right here. So if it had a distinct lot number as well, it would have that information. But I can pull different information from the database to allow me to see a deeper view into this batch. Well, in this case, I do want to check out a batch, and I want to check out the newest batch that I have. I'm going to click the hyperlink there. It's going to take me directly to the batch detail and any information on that batch directly within here. And again, I can see my batch transaction report, and I can have full traceability into where that batch came from. Now, I've shown you a few grids, right? We have an understanding of what the solution does and how it organizes data and views data and does different things with the data. I do want to talk about the customization and the availability to create your own forms or grids, as we call them. In our solution, we have a bunch of standard solutions and standard grids that maybe would be suffice for you. But in my understanding and my experience, people want to create unique grids for themselves. And you can actually do that here, taking maybe an existing grid, like that inventory workspace, and editing that, and then taking the SQL data from that grid, right? So I have my settings, but I can actually take the information and build my own grids here. And this is the flexible power of WiSys. You don't need programmers. You don't need a developer to do this. You can work with a WiSys consultant or your partner to be able to modify and create different grids and views for your customers, right? Or yourself. So in this case, we do have a SQL format solution here, right? And you could see the data as it flows above. And I can add things like alerts. You know, we can add those manually. We can add different buttons to do different actions in these workspaces. So again, if I wanted to open my existing sales orders in that workspace, I could create that button here. Now, it takes a little learning. This solution isn't out of the box where you could click and do this on your own. But if you learn the product, you can customize and create your own tailored grids at any time you want and add things that are important to you. Maybe you have an allocation rule that you need to set up. Maybe you have some assignments that you want to do for pick lists to assign pick lists in there. You can add those rules and settings within the Agility Design Studio for WiSys directly in the project. So we can push out any of those things that are customizable within WiSys. So let's minimize that again. Let's go back to our sales grids here. Now, this is a live view. You can have this set to automate a refresh. So this can be refreshed by hitting refresh, or it can automate that functionality of refreshing a grid. So imagine yourself having a big screen TV out in your warehouse with all your sales orders on them. And I could see those sales orders, and I could see them as they are shipped, leave the open status, and going to the close and actually disappearing from the screen in real time. I have a lot of customers that do that, right? They just want to see today's due dates and everything that needs to go out today. And as they get delivered through Agility Fulfillment or relieved with a delivery note, those items will leave this. So having a real-time view into this information is great. You can connect to different servers, different companies. So if you want to connect to a different company, right down here, I can change the company. I could even attach to different servers, right? So if I had multiple servers and I want to use this solution in multiple areas, multiple locations, I could do that as well. Let's take a look at some other things real quick. And I had this set up. Oh, what I do want to mention is, again, you could set up these grids and views based on the user. So everybody could have their own unique view, and you could give access to people. So maybe somebody in sales does not necessarily need to have inventory management, so they wouldn't see the inventory processes. They would only see assigned objects to them. Well, here's a really cool thing. If I want to see all my sales orders at any given time, I could right-click on that and add to my favorites, but I can also add to my desktop as a shortcut. So if you take a look here, I will have that shortcut to the sales returns that I picked here. And I don't need to have the entire application. I can have these quick shortcuts on my desktop to open that application up right within the application here, right? So I have availability to see those things. If I right click and do it, add to desktop, create shortcut, I can even float this so it can be separate from the application itself, but I have real control over the information that I get or my employees have as well. To take a look at even further, we do have some tailorable grids, right? So we do have the availability to look at our production orders here. And I have all my production orders here, and I want to see my release production orders. And this is all standard grid, right? We can see all the release orders here, and I can sort by customer or by item. I can filter through and see availability of products, my start dates, and I can sort and filter all that. So I'm getting real good data. I do want to show you a production calendar. This is a tailored grid that I created that allows me to see in a calendar view the different production orders that I have going out this week. And I do have 6 production orders this date to be completed last Friday. So this is just one other idea of tailoring or customizations that are open to the entire product, and you can create and make things on your own. So to start off our first session today, and I'd like to continue this going deeper into the capabilities, going deeper into some tailoring and show you how to actually produce or tailor your own grids. This is where I wanted to lead off in showing you the capabilities, and you don't need WMS to do this. So I'd like to take some questions. If there are any questions, I'd like to talk about licensing real quick. So depending on the level of WiSys that you own, if you have Essentials, Enterprise, or Enterprise Plus Shipping, the 3-level modules, the device licenses are a little less expensive than a professional user of SAP. They're less expensive than a logistics. This is depending on the solution, this is a much less expensive license. And that's licensed by PC you put it on. So you could, buy device, so buy Windows machine, buy cloud instance, right? You can then purchase one of those per device, and multiple people could use that, right? Multiple people could log in. You could all use that separately. The solution also houses our fulfillment manager, where we do our shipping and packing station as well. And that'll also be part of the Agility Desktop if you have the Enterprise edition of the product. So let's take a few questions here. I want to go back into my Agility Explorer here, and let's just maximize the screen. Are there any questions out there? Okay. Well, I have a bunch of people asking about licensing. So I will, with this video, send license pricing for Agility Desktop. The great thing is you don't have to start with a lot of these. This is a point where we see the expansion of WiSys without WMS growing, where someone adds a device license or a desktop license, and then the next person would need one and say, hey, I like what you're doing. I'd like to try some of that stuff. And they add that. So you could buy one at a time. They start at $750 for a perpetual purchase and up to $1,500 for the Enterprise Plus Shipping solution. So there are a few different levels here, but understanding that this is where you can tailor, you can modify the solution, you can change things the way they are from the out-of-the-box function and create really new grids based on your company's needs or your individual needs, right? So I appreciate you guys coming. Please feel free, if you have additional questions, to reach out. I am available to go through a one-on-one session with you. And thank you for joining me, guys, today. I appreciate it, and hopefully you learned a little something more about Agility Desktop. Thanks.